Je ne parle pas de vie.
Stained glass windows, church doors open. Only God knows where this one's going. The choir sings a hymn, but it's not helping him. He runs out the church to wash away his sins. He went walking on the side of the road. His body needed water, but his soul needed hope. He searched for some miles till he came across this brook. It reminded him of this passage from the book. John 4:14, you can read it for yourself. He was tired from the walk, but it was here he found some help. It's here he won the battle with himself. He'd been struggling all day with his mental health. That's why he went for a walk all by himself. The plan was to never come home again, to live as a hobo, to leave his...
Hi, my name's Eli, and this is my story. I was diagnosed with schizophrenia about a year ago.
I'm Leon, I'm Eli's dad. Eli wanted to share his journey of traveling with his mental health journey, I should say. And he wanted to share with everyone to try to help people out. We're not here to give medical advice, but we are here to bring comfort to other people, families suffering with a mental illness of this type. And so he wanted to share his first episode, the story of it, and what he went through and what we all went through. It's a pretty incredible story. It started on Labor Day weekend. He was home alone. And what do you remember of that, Eli?
So actually the night before I went to see a movie. That's not very important, but...
It might be. Like, what was the movie?
Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
The theaters had like a $3 movie ticket day or something like that. So I went there, and then I went to Red Robin to eat dinner. And then later that morning I went to church.
So when you that night you went to the movie into Red Robin?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so how were you feeling that night?
I was feeling pretty good that night, I would say. I was in good condition.
Okay. And then, so in the morning now you went to church?
Yeah, I went to church.
Well, was there a draw? Were you feeling something that drew you there?
I had just been going to that church, for the last couple weeks or so I just wanted to keep going there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So then after church, this is a Saturday, and then that was a early evening church service?
I think early morning.
Oh, it was a morning service. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then walk us through then that day.
Yeah, so I left church early because I wasn't feeling good. I just kind of felt uncomfortable. I don't know how to describe it, just uncomfortable is the best way to describe it, I guess.
Okay.
And so I drove home, and while I was getting close to home, I decided that I was going to leave home forever. And just basically it was based off the verse, take all your possessions and follow me, in the Bible.
Right.
So the idea was I was just going to leave home, leave all my possessions, and just walk the earth, basically. And, yeah.
So at that point, you were probably in distress, but you were looking for something?
Yeah, I think I was just searching for answers.
Sure.
Because church really wasn't doing it for me, and I think after I had to leave church early, I just kind of felt let down a little bit.
Sure.
So
That's 4th of July, so sorry about the fireworks, but we might hear some more. So then what did you do? You drove home from church?
I drove home, yeah. In my dress clothes, I dropped off the car in the garage. I grabbed my Bible in my dress clothes, and I just walked away from home, and without any idea of where I was going to go.
Okay. So tell us about that. Where did you walk to?
Well, I ended up walking about 10 miles from home near these like wetlands. Yeah, so.
Were you running too, or?
No, I was just walking, at this point. Yeah. So I was walking there, and I stopped kind of in the woods somewhere for a little bit, and I was reading the Bible, and I decided I was going to go back home.
Okay.
So I kind of gave up on that plan, but it was a journey nonetheless. So
sure. So then you can come back home, and now is it getting darker at this point?
it's still pretty light out because I left church early in the morning, so I left right as soon as I got home. So
Okay.
but yeah, I had a bunch of food and water, of course, because I was thirsty and hungry from the walk. Yeah, and I don't know.
Okay, so now you've had some food and drink, and now it's probably getting into evening.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, what happened then? What was the next?
I kind of have a hard time remembering, but I know I kept walking outside,
So, walking around the house.
walking around like the area.
Okay.
Still kind of wondering if I wanted to leave home forever. And I started to get weird feelings in the house, like the house was like maybe filled with demons or something like that. So I started to get a little worried about that. And I just kind of got worried about the house and the family and everything like that. So I don't know how many times I went in and out of the house, but
Lori, come here.
like one time I walked around this area, and I went in the woods, and I laid down in the woods and tried to like see if I could sleep there, but I couldn't. But anyways, yeah. And then the night came, and that's when things got really scary because I just started to feel really uncomfortable in the house. And I don't know how to describe it, but so I still felt like there was demons, and I felt like they were more strongly attached to the house at this point. So I started running from the house. I felt like something was chasing me. So I started sprinting out of the house at night. And so I sprinted quite a ways, and I was headed towards where I stopped earlier that day, near the wetlands. So for like the 10 miles, I sprinted/walked for 10 miles. And so I finally got to the wetlands where I was before. And yeah, that's kind of where my night started, really, when I think about it.
Sure. So when you got to the wetlands, and I think I know where they are, just by you describing them to me. It's a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes going each way.
Yeah.
Not super high speed, but lots of traffic and stuff, and then there's wetlands spilled off to the side.
Yeah.
So when you got there, then what do you remember happened next?
Well, I had a cardboard box I found, and I tried to sleep on that, but I couldn't go to sleep because I kept getting these kind of visions that, like, people laughing at me, like I was failing or something like that. So I got up and started walking around in the wetlands. And the best way I can describe, I guess I should mention, when I was sprinting from home, I had this mantra that I was saying, like, forgive me, Lord, save me, Lord. I was just saying that over and over again. And yeah, so I kept continuing that as I walked around the wetlands. And the best way I can describe how I was walking was, you know how people get thrown in a bully circle? I was kind of walking nonsensically like that. And the idea was, if I just focused on God, I wouldn't fall down. And because I was tired and I was trying to stay up and just stay, it's hard to explain.
Were you were in water, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
So basically, long story short, though, I walked around the wetlands for a long time, and then I started walking with my eyes closed.
Were you in the wetlands at this point, the marsh grass?
In the grass.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the high weeds.
High weeds, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just walking, and I would close my eyes and would just walk, basically trusting in the Lord that He wouldn't, that I wouldn't fall or run into anything or anything like that. That was the idea, at least. So, then it led me to the marshland, the water.
Okay.
So when I got there, I felt like it was God telling me that I should go in there and swim in there.
Okay.
So I was a bit hesitant about it, but I finally did.
That voice was powerful enough that
Yeah.
you thought was God that you went in?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it wasn't enough just to swim across back and forth. I felt like I had to walk in there, and I didn't know how deep it was in the middle.
Sure.
So I was very hesitant about that, but I finally did, and I was fine.
Right.
Because it was only up to like here, but
Think about how powerful that voice was in the middle of the night to drive you there. Something you would never do normally is walk in a wetland during the day,
yeah,
but yet at night, that's what you did.
yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's strange.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's definitely kind of weird.
Yeah, no, but
It made sense to me at the time.
absolutely, it was real to you in your mind that night. It's part of why you want to share this, so that people know if they see someone they know feeling these things and saying these things, that you have to take them seriously and don't discount them, right?
Yeah.
For sure. So I'm glad you're sharing it.
Yeah, thank you.
So you're walking through these wetlands, through the water. And
Yeah.
how does the night?
So I basically do that the rest of the night. I just swim and walk across back and forth. Basically the whole night I don't get any sleep. I just continue to walk and swim. And the morning comes, and there's a shift in like the way I see things. Like everything is beautiful. It's like I've taken edibles before. That's kind of what it felt like.
Oh,
Everything felt like magical, and it felt, I don't know that's the best way I can explain it. Like there's blackbirds above my head, like flying over. It felt like I was in a movie and everything was going according to plan.
wow.
And like everything was just in motion. I wasn't trying anymore. I wasn't saying the mantra, but I was speaking in tongues.
Okay.
And like the things I was saying felt very deep to me, but I had no idea what I was saying.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow, it's like you're on a different spiritual plane or something.
it definitely felt that way. Yeah, so that part was kind of beautiful, but then it led me to want to kill myself, the lack of a better word.
I
So
think you had told me that you thought God wanted you to.
it wasn't like out of sadness or anything like that. I thought God wanted me to kill myself. And yeah, so I dunked my head in water and kind of gave it a try. I don't know how serious I was about it, but I think I was pretty serious about it, but I gave up on it, and then I tried again. The second attempt wasn't as, I don't know. I gave up sooner the second time around.
Sure.
But after it was weird. I felt okay. Hold on.
So after dunking your head, afterwards you felt?
Yeah, afterwards I felt instant regret, and I kept speaking in tongues, and I felt like I was letting God down and letting people down that I didn't even know,
Sure.
like spiritual brothers and spiritual sisters or something like that is the best way I can describe it.
Right.
So yeah, but I eventually gave up and didn't kill myself. So after that, and meanwhile, I'm still in my dress clothes. I didn't take off my clothes or anything like that. So I'm in my dress clothes and my shoes the whole entire time. But yeah, so.
And then when you came out, did you come out then at that point, out of the wetlands?
Yeah, then I came out of the wetlands.
Okay.
And basically I walked down the road, was headed home, and I fell down a couple times because I was so sore. I've never done anything like that in my life. Like, I played basketball for years. I've never gone through that kind of conditioning before.
Right.
So it was kind of, in a way, it was kind of a feat, but I was so tired, and people could tell that I was in bad shape, so someone tried to stop me, or like a good Samaritan came and tried to get my attention, but I wouldn't respond, because I was headed back to maybe try to kill myself again. So basically, but I didn't respond to him, and he called the cops, and the cops came before I could get back to the wetlands, and they started talking to me, and I was kind of unresponsive to them, but then I started talking to them, and they drove me home.
Yeah, drove you home and left it. And an interesting thing, we'll follow up with more of the story, but based on how much you did that night, the doctor in the ER checked out Eli, and he asked Eli, I don't understand what all this muscle breakdown is. I only see this in marathon runners. That's how strenuous you pushed yourself that night.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It was
crazy.
It was.
Thank the good Lord you weren't successful.
Yeah.
With that delusion that you thought.
Yeah.
God took care of you anyways, right?
Yeah. So after the police dropped me off at home, I got a bunch of stuff to eat and a bunch of stuff to drink, and then I fell asleep, and then later that night my parents came home.
So then the next day, Eli doesn't remember a lot of it, so I'll kind of tell him what happened. Everything seemed to be semi-normal. Not completely normal, but Eli seemed to be doing good during the day. He had talked about what happened. And so we were just playing it by ear to see what happened throughout the day. We didn't want to do anything rash. Thought maybe it was kind of pass, and this was a episode of psychosis that would pass. Then as it got into evening, Eli started to become kind of distant. He went into the bathroom, and he was in the bathroom for like 45 minutes. We had to coax him out. Then he wanted to stand in the middle of the kitchen with his eyes closed and kind of looking upward, and we were begging him to go sit on the couch and just to kind of relax. But he doesn't even remember a lot of it. Some of the times his eyes would roll up in his head. We kept begging him to sit down. We kept saying we're going to have to call someone because we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to breach any trust with Eli. It was very important to us that that was only a last resort. And I think he understands now that we had to. So my wife went upstairs to call the crisis line to talk to them about it. And Eli wandered into the garage, and we have a platform with steps going down outside our garage door. We sat there and I kept begging him to go in, holding on to him by the side. And then suddenly he got up on the railing, which is probably 6.5 feet off the garage floor, and just went over backwards. And I caught him. But it was really scary. If he hit his head there, it's about a 6.5 foot fall from the top of the railing. So I was holding him and screaming to my wife. He was kind of dead weight there. And then my wife was upstairs calling, so she didn't. It seemed like forever. And then she finally came and helped me get Eli up onto the platform. And he immediately dove head first down the steps, and like so quick he crawled under my wife's car and he backed under it. It was frightening. And he kept, the whole time he kept saying, "Lord, take me, Lord, take me." And I'm looking at this boy, my son, under the car, saying this, and he's trapped under the car with his hands sticking out. And it just was so sad and frightening. So then my wife had called 911, and they came out. And policemen were very nice, very kind. They talked to Eli. He wouldn't respond to them at that point. And so then they just had to verify that he was going to need to, go in, and we opened the door and the paramedics were there. So they came in, and I had to get my jack, put it under his car and jack it up so he could squeeze out. And he was very cooperative but not responding to anything. So, and that's when they brought him into emergency. And just spent all the time the next few days. He was at a local hospital in their emergency room until they could find him a bed about 3.5 hours away, where he spent 21 days in a facility where they could give medication and get him back on the right track. So, and we can put the story of that in another video. We just kind of wanted to share this first episode. It was a weekend, and it was very traumatic, and I'm sure a lot of you are going through the same thing or have gone through the same thing. You're not alone. It's kind of like when you do it, there's a lot of great doctors out there, but at the end of the day, you're kind of on your own, figuring it out. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching the video. And do you have anything else to add, Eli?
No. Just, everything you said, piggyback after that.
Yeah, so we'll see you. We hope to make more videos to try to kind of explain Eli's journey and his battle. He's a warrior. He gets up and fights this every day. And our dog Glory helps him along the way.
Whoever drinks of the water that I'll give him will never thirst again. To his surprise, it opened up his eyes in the middle of the woods. He broke down and cried. He thought about his family. God showed him what's true. He said the words out loud, "I love you."